Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Öland once again. So this is yet another of the beers that I brought back with me from my recent trip over to Kalmar and Öland. A very pretty part of Sweden incidentally. But we're going to return to a brewery that I first introduced you to a couple of months back, and I was really quite impressed with the last beer that I did. It was the Carry the Torch. It was a double IPA that they did in collaboration with a local band, and it turned out really nicely actually. But for this one we're going to have a look at one of their Öland series, one of their local ingredient beers, I guess you could say. So for this one then we are going to return to Fireside Brewery, who are from not too far away from Bornholm on Öland. And we're going to have a look at their Fields of Fire, which is a Saison coming in at 5.7%. This one is brewed with local Öland wheat and local Öland strawberries as well. So very curious to see how this one turns out. I always like beers like this that use really local ingredients that you're not going to find elsewhere. But very curious to see how it turns out. Cool to review another local Öland beer for you, and I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I've done from Fireside Brewery before. Hopefully I can add another couple in the fairly near future. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel, of course, has a geography-based tagging system, so you can go into the home page and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlists of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the Swedish beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always, please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, to tell you a little bit about Fireside Brewery then. So the Fireside Brewery are based in a little place called Rälla on Öland, and it's actually part of an old American an American barbecue restaurant and brew pub. You'll find this brewery actually on the road where you turn off to go to Eastmantorp's kind of fortress, and that's a really nice place that's definitely worth visiting. This old pre-Viking fortress thing that's just sat there in the middle of the forest actually. They think it was a temporary military camp, but definitely worth visiting. The restaurant though, we passed by it and I noticed it, but apparently the restaurant and things only opens every couple of Saturdays, so if you want to go in and visit the restaurant you have to check on the Facebook and things like that and the website to see when it's there. But it's not too far away from Bornholm, this place either. But this company is owned by Joel and Johanna Heineke, and they started brewing together back in 2015. The first brewery that they had was just a very small 160 litre brew kit, and they found that the beer sold a lot better than they expected it to, so it was really difficult for them to keep up with the demand for it. In 2018 though, they started adding local ingredients to their beers, and this is what created the Öland series. So they do have one beer that has honey in it, and then they have this one as well, which has the strawberries in it, local Öland strawberries as I said. And over 2019 they've been working to expand the brewery. They've been buying new tanks and a new brew kit and things like that, and they've started selling their beers through Systembolaget as well actually. And of course that was where I got this one. I got this one in Färjestaden, if I remember correctly, because we were staying not too far away from Färjestaden when we were on Öland. But I really would recommend you go there. A very beautiful part of Sweden, and Kalmar of course just across the water is a very pretty city as well actually. But there's about 3 or 4 breweries I think on Öland, and you'll see me review the others in upcoming videos, so keep an eye out for those. But yeah, that's all you really need to know about this brewery for the moment. If you want to learn more, of course you can check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on, and you can check out the Rate Beer and Untappd pages to see all the different beers that they've done. So yeah, let's get on and actually have a taste of this beer then. I have to admit, when I picked this one up and it was called Fields of Fire, I thought this was like, you know, another band connection, like, oh, have they brewed something with Amon Amarth or In Flames or something like this. But and I thought it was going to be like a chili imperial stout, so it was quite strange that it's a strawberry saison when it's called Fields of Fire. I thought that was quite funny actually. I don't know if it's like a local saying or something like this, the strawberry fields or the fields of fire. I have no idea. But yeah, you can see plain black bottle cap on this one. The artwork, as you can see, is really pretty nice. But this one is a 5.7% Saison, sorry, and it says Fields of Fire is an Öland-inspired strawberry Saison brewed with Öland's wheat and strawberries. I don't know why they've put Veta rather instead of just saying Öland wheat when the rest of it's in English. That's weird. But it has a dry mouthfeel, subtle hop aroma, and the strawberries can make the beer slightly tart. Fireside is located on the beautiful island of Öland, and it contains Sats hops, which are from Czech, and Northern Brewer, which I think they originated in Germany, but I'm sure you can get them ones that are actually grown in America as well. I'm not sure about that. So yeah, Czech and a German hop in this one, I think. So yeah, let's get it out and we'll get on with the tasting then. It's pretty full, which is always good. Just need to watch this doesn't go crazy. Yeah, there we go. I thought it was going to there, but it's alright. So we'll get it out and into the glass then. But like I say, the other thing I was thinking with this beer was that, you know, Fields of Fire, it sounds like a pretty, you know, death metalish name or something like that. And I was thinking, because the last one, the Carry the Torch, was done with a local band, so I wondered, maybe they've been doing more collaborations. And heavy metal is always good. You can never have too much heavy metal in your life, I say. But yeah, so as you can see with this beer, it's actually, you know, I'm trying to think if I've had Saisons with fruit in them before, to be honest, and I'm not sure. I think I maybe had a Yuzu Saison in Japan when I was over there last time. But with this one, it kind of looks a little bit like a Berliner Weisse, something like that. You can always get those in pretty fabulous colours. So this one is pretty pink and fabulous. If I hold it up to the light, it comes through as being a little bit redder than that, but you know, it's almost like it's almost the same colour as like a rosé wine or something like that. But obviously just hazy because the Saison is a wheat and yeast based beer. But yeah, it looks really nice actually. Nothing too surprising about this one when you consider what it is. It's hazy as you would expect from a Saison, and it's taken a bit of colour from the strawberries as well. You can see there's a solid 2/3 finger of a frothy, you know, sort of pinky tinted cream coloured head on this one. One or two big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, and a few little ones just heading up towards the bottom of that head there. There is still a little bit in the bottom of the bottle there, but we'll put that in a little bit later on. But yeah, nothing overly surprising about this beer in terms of its appearance. So let's take a look at the aroma and just see how we get on. That smells really quite nice actually. I've always been a big fan of like strawberry flavoured things. The texture of strawberries was something I was never keen on. I was more into like the juicier berries like raspberries and stuff like this. I don't know why, I just never liked the texture of strawberries, but I loved the flavour of them. So it's always strawberry juice that I drank, because I'm just a weirdo that way. But yeah, with this beer, it's got a lovely, you know, the strawberries jump out of this one straight away with you. It's got a really kind of candied strawberry note to it. It's almost, you might think you're getting little hints of like figs and other kind of things in there as well, but it's a very juicy, smooth strawberry there. Of course, strawberries are very popular in Scotland as well. A lot of farms up near Perth have got strawberries and things. Strawberries and raspberries are what Scotland was always very famous for in terms of fruits. So yeah, lovely juicy strawberries to this one. You can pick out the nice big smooth wheaty qualities to this beer as well. Doughy yeasty kind of notes in there. Yeah, lovely big doughy yeasty notes to this one as well, which is what you'd expect. The Saison is a Belgian style of beer. Belgian beers are very kind of doughy and yeasty forward, if you like. It's all about the yeast in Belgium. But this beer comes across just beautifully. I really like that actually. So the aroma gets a massive thumbs up from me. When you've added Northern Brewer into it as well, that kind of makes sense, because I believe that hop is used quite often in Doppelbocks, and that's what gives it that's what gives them a lot of the fruity quality. So if you are picking up like figgy and, you know, almost slightly raisiny notes and stuff like that out of this, that would make sense because of the hop that's in here. Sats is very much a straight up, it's almost like you would use that hop a lot in like Pilsners and Helles and Dunkels and stuff, I guess, as well. So it's the Northern Brewers giving a little bit of complexity to the fruitiness in this beer, but a lovely white bready note to this beer. Perhaps a little bit of a, it's almost got a teeny bit of like a slightly corianderish spice to it, peppery spice. There's a little bit of that in there. Maybe a wee bit of a biscuity sweetness, but there is a decent kind of grassy and floral presence there. It's got a very kind of noble character to it. And I mean the Sats hop, the Czech Sats hop, it's very similar and a lot of its characteristics to the German ones, but I think the floral notes are a little bit brighter in Sats compared to like the Hallertau or the Tittnanger and things like that as well. But overall, the aroma of this one, it comes across as very smooth, almost slightly sweet, sorry, and really nice and fruity and juicy. So take a bit of time and just you know, enjoy that aroma before you get stuck into it. So yeah, let's have a taste of this one then and just see how we get on. This one is the Fields of Fire, a Saison coming in at 5.7% from the Fireside Brewery in Rälla, near Borgholm in Öland, on the east coast of Sweden. Beautiful place. Let's get stuck in. Slange, skål. Oh yeah. First impressions then. This beer, I was surprised at how thick and Belgian-y it was actually. That's nice. This is a good beer. And like I say, the thing that's cool about this is, compared to the last one I've had from them, it's a completely different style. I guess the next step that will have to do with Fireside is try like a stout or something like this from the dark end of the spectrum. But straight away, big doughy yeasty notes kind of coming out of this, and that suits it really well actually. But you do get a little bit of the tartness they were talking about on the bottle with the strawberries as well. And it's worth noting as well that in modern craft brewing, if you like, the Saison is a style that quite a lot of brewers like to make sour, but the original Belgian Saisons were not sour, and this one isn't sour. It's got a little bit of tartness because of the fruits, but really it's more just the fruitiness that's given it that than it actually being an active sour beer, if it's right to say that. But this one is nice actually. It's got that big thickness that you would expect from a Belgian beer, and to be honest with you, I've tried quite a few Belgian style beers from different places, and some of them can turn out really nicely, but some of them, a lot of them have the flavour, but it's the mouthfeel that they don't quite have. And I have to say, they've worked really nicely with the mouthfeel in this one. I think they've done a good job of that actually, so thumbs up to them. I mean, have a go, I would say, to this brewery on the basis of that. Have a go at making like a regular Saison and maybe like a Belgian blonde or something as well. Have a go at some of the Belgian beers, because I think, just on first impression, I think they might be onto something with that actually. And as far as I know, there's not a brewery in Sweden that really does Belgian beers. In Scotland we have 6 Degrees North, who are very good at Belgian beers, but they have the mouthfeel a little bit different to what you'd expect from a regular Belgian beer. But yeah, that is pretty nice, I have to say. So yeah, let's try and break this flavour down a little bit then. So straight away you can feel the nice kind of smooth, white bready, wheaty quality to this one. And as I was saying, it's local wheat that's there, and of course wherever you grow hops or malt or barley or whatever, you know, it's going to taste a bit different just because the soil has all these different minerals and things like that. It's soil chemistry. We learned about this when I was doing that at university. So wherever you grow something, you're going to get different things in the soil, different metal levels and all of this kind of thing. But or mineral levels as well, I should say, ion counts, blah blah blah. But yeah, this one really is nice. You can feel that the wheat flavours in this are quite unique. They come across as very smooth, and they've almost just got a little tiny touch of like earthiness to them as well. So it really is quite, you know, it really is quite unusual actually. And I would love to see them do like an original version of this beer without the strawberries, and go for it and see what it's like. You know, the Öland wheat Saison, that would be a really cool thing to do. There's nothing wrong with the strawberries being in it, but I think it would be cool to see a bit more of a bare version of this beer as well. But as it stands with the Öland strawberries, it really does work. I can see why they did this one, because it's, you know, it fits a little bit more with the way that things are going. Everyone wants like fruity Berliner Weisses and stuff like that. So, you know, they've done something that attracts the kind of craft beer drinker, if you like. I can see why they've sort of done that. So yeah, it's really, it's a really interesting beer, this one. But I think if they try some more Belgian styles, they really could be onto something. But yeah, that wheat, like I was talking about, it has a little bit more of an earthy character, and earthy's maybe not the right word, but it comes across, it's just a little bit darker in flavour. It's not quite as pungent as you can get from some wheats, and it's very, very smooth, which is really nice. You can feel that just blanketing the base of your tongue in this beer. If you move into the centre, it really gets very much thicker and doughy, and that's the yeast coming out of this one, that Belgian yeast that they'll have used in this beer. There is perhaps a little touch of a kind of slightly biscuity McVitie's digestive kind of flavour. There's a little bit of that in the middle of the tongue too. At 5.7%, you know, you will get a little bit of it. You can get Saisons that are heavier than this. I'm sure I've seen ones that can go up to like 8%, things like, I've seen a few Imperial Saisons that were very interesting. But the flavour that you get out of this this beer, and the way that the yeast and the malt goes together, which is the key thing to a Belgian style beer, I think they've got really quite nicely. So they get a big thumbs up from me in that regard. This beer really has everything that you would want from a Belgian style beer, and it's just got that little bit of a kind of local tweak to it, I guess you could say. You will notice a little bit, I think there's a little bit of a woody undertone to this beer as well. If you go to the front corners of your palate and in a little bit, you'll also get a wee touch of a kind of woody quality as well, which is really quite nice. So yeah, this beer, it really has a few interesting things going on with it as well, actually. So I have to take my hat off to them with the way that this beer goes. I do like this, and it's the uniqueness of this beer, I think, that really makes it interesting. So yeah, hoppy side of things then. Back corners of the palate, you've got a really nice, there's a wee bit of earthiness there, which is what you'd expect from the noble hops. You will get a little bit of an earthiness in there. Technically it's not a noble hop, but you know what I mean. As you come further forward along the sides of the tongue, you can feel that just smoothing out a little bit. As you reach the front corners of the palate, a little bit of floralness there. You can also feel a little bit of a grassy note going around the front curve of your tongue as well. The thing is though, when you add fruit into a beer, as I always say, it suppresses a little bit of the green side of the hops and takes away some of the IBUs. So this is a very low bitterness beer. And you can really feel the strawberries coming off or sitting there around the front edge of your tongue too. Behind the front curve of the palate, of course, that's where you get that little oily bubble where those juicy, fruity esters start to come out of the beer. And like I said, most of the fruit in this one will be coming from the Northern Brewer. Very popular hop in Doppelbock for the fruity side of things. So yeah, on the hoppy part of the fruitiness, there's almost a little teeny bit of like a slightly raisiny sharpness to this beer, a little bit of a raisiny tartness at the beginning. Then it smooths out a little bit and it starts to become a little bit more kind of blackcurranty and blackberryish, but really those flavours are a little bit more minimal compared to the other things that are going on in this beer. The strawberry notes, as I say, kind of linger around the edge of the tongue, and it's almost, you'll notice that when you go into the aftertaste with this one, the wheat starts to become a little bit more prominent. It has that slightly darker flavour to it, but you'll notice towards the front of the palate too, it's almost got a little bit of there's almost something that's very slightly phenolic going on in this. If you think about like a Belgian Brewing or something like this, and it's to do with the yeast that you use in these beers. With Belgian yeasts, there is almost a little bit of that kind of cakey, cough syrupy sort of element to the fruitiness that you're getting with this beer as well. You'll notice that towards the front of your palate, and it makes the beer actually feel a little bit boozier than it actually is, to be honest. So that's kind of an interesting point to make about this as well. It's 5.7%, it's not going to blow the head off you, but if you want a beer that isn't as boozy as you might think, but gives you a little bit of a kick, then you could go for this one. But yeah, this is a really interesting beer. I mean, out of the two beers I've tried from Fireside now, I would probably pick this one over the other one just because of how unique it is. But what I would say to them is do an original version, do one without the strawberries, and maybe experiment a little bit more with Belgian beer, because they've obviously got a little bit of a knack for it, to be honest. I think that would be interesting to for this brewery going forward, but we'll see how it goes. They'll do their own thing, I'm sure. But yeah, in terms of the mouthfeel then with this beer, yeah, top end of mid, but well, actually I'm going to say full bodied on this one. Definitely a full bodied beer. The carbonation's very smooth. This beer really is quite thick. It's got an oily element to it as well, but it's got that thick doughy thing that you would expect of a Belgian style beer. The malt base in this one, like I said, is quite smooth. It dries out a little bit the further you go into the aftertaste, right enough, and you've also got the yeast kind of thickening it out a little bit too. A little bit of hoppy bitterness in this beer. I think this one, what would it be? It must be about 25 IBUs. I think it's a little bit more than like 15. which I think, 15, 20ish is usually the standard of this one, but I think it's just a little touch heavier than that because of the way the malt dries out in this one. I think that gives it a little bit more of a bitter edge. So it could be like, yeah, 20, I think 25 IBUs, something like that. In terms of the fruitiness as well, like I say, you've got a little bit of that sort of medicinally phenolic kind of thing, which will be coming from the yeast and stuff, but you've also got a really nice, and the hops as well actually, but you've got a really nice little bit of that, the juiciness from the strawberries around the edge of the tongue too. And the strawberries, I would say also, you've got to consider, I think these strawberries are a little bit more, I think they come across as nice, and they're quite nice and juicy, but the flavour for me is a little bit darker compared to the Scottish strawberries, which is interesting too. But overall, a really nice beer and a very kind of unique local Öland product as well. So this was a really cool beer to review. This is one that really made me think a little bit, and I like beers that do that actually. When you've reviewed like 1900 beers, you really do want ones like this that are going to make you think a little bit. So hats off to Fireside Brewery for this one. Do experiment a little bit more with Belgian beers, I think. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. The Fields of Fire, a 5.7% strawberry Saison with local Öland strawberries and local Öland wheat from the Fireside Brewery in Rälla on Öland. So yeah, big thumbs up to these guys for this one. Check this one out. I don't know if you can order this nationally, but I would recommend that if you like your Belgian beers, you have a go at this one. I think they're onto something with this. But yeah, once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Fireside Brewery as well. Hopefully I can get back out there and try the restaurant at some point. I was a bit disappointed that I wasn't there on a Saturday and couldn't go and visit it. That would have been awesome to do and film a little out and about video, but hopefully that's something for the future. I hope you guys have enjoyed my take on this one, and I will catch you guys very, very soon. Until the next time, Slanja just now, and I'll catch you guys very soon. The Fields of Fire from Fireside Brewery in Rälla on Öland. Slanja, skål.